right, we love talking MMA here, but it's even better when we get to talk to the ones that actually get in there and actually do it. And today we're chopping it up with a rising featherweight prospect who's gearing up for a scrap at Cage Warriors 186 on March 21st against Jan Masek. He's got the skills, the mindset, and a nickname that's going to tell you exactly what he's going to do. It's none other than Head Kick Harry Shaw. Harry, how you doing, bro?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Yeah, appreciate the intro. That's got to be the best one so far.
Yeah, I got to do it proper, man. I got to do it proper. So, first of all, let's just talk about the nickname. Obviously, I've seen you fight before, but where did the nickname originate?
When I was a lot younger, I used to train with a team called NFM, and so I started out in Thai boxing, transitioned to MMA. NFM was the MMA team, and I dropped a lot of people with a head kick, and so that was it. Yeah, yeah. So I was sort of using the I've been doing Thai boxing about 5 years before doing MMA, and caught a fair few people with a head kick, and yeah, either dropped them or just landed it a fair few times, and yeah, then everyone started calling me Head Kick Harry, but then I never really walked out to it as my actual fight nickname until the Cage Warriors event. So
Nah, man,
yeah,
I love that nickname. Nicknames, people sleep on nicknames. Nicknames are important, in
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. It's kind of like let everyone know sort of like what you're about and everything, you know.
Especially when it comes to marketing and things like that. The things that really get you some money outside of the cage, like
100%. Yeah.
it matters. Um, so yeah, I definitely think that you got one of the best ones in the game, and you're just getting started. You know what I'm
100%. Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
another thing that I noticed about you as a fighter and probably as a person is how calm you are. And for a person who's, I know you've had a solid amount of amateur fights, and then the three professional fights. Like, you're extremely calm. Like, where does that come from? How are you so calm in this?
uh, mate, yeah, good question. I think generally as a person, I'm pretty level. If I'm sad, like I'm not like all the way down here, but if I'm like happy again, I'm not all the way up here. And so like generally, I'm quite level as it is. And then I think just when it comes to competition, it's just you're so locked in on the task at hand, and
Mhm.
all of like your years of training and everything like that. It just takes over, but it takes over from coming in like a calm state. I don't try and force it as such. It's something that just quite naturally happens. I think you just, when it comes to competing, you do all your hard work, all your
Mhm.
training, all of that sort of stuff, and then you just surrender the outcome, And then I think that's where that sort of calm comes from. It's like, if you lose a fight, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it is for like a good 2 weeks, you know. But then at the end of the day, it's like your friends are still there, your parents still love you, you're alive, you're living, you're breathing. It's all right, And a win's great for of course. But I think sort of when you boil it down to everything, it's like, look, wins are great, losses aren't that great, but they're not going to end you. And so, yeah, you just surrender the outcome, top that with sort of just being generally quite level anyway, and just
Mhm.
knowing that being calm, you make good decisions. And so you just sort of surrender that when you get in there. And what happens because of that is my performances. So, yeah.
No, that makes sense. And you brought up something, and I think this is important to kind of talk about, is the losses. Like, you have a loss on your professional record.
Mm.
And I mean, I've seen you fight. I know what you can do. I know what that right hand is. And so, do you think that it's almost relieving that you kind of got that loss out of the way?
So, yeah, for sure. But that loss is about as bad as losses go. I got dropped and subbed in one round. It's
Yeah, you
about as
did all
bad
of
as it
them.
goes, man. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, well, it's unlikely you're going to lose that bad again, you know. And so yeah, and so yeah, man, it's that.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of people, I feel like, especially when they're, moving up the ranks and, Cage Warriors is a big organization.
Mm,
And, the next step is the biggest organization. And
for sure.
so, um, if people fly through there and they're undefeated, they have an aura, but there's a lot to it. Almost feels like you fall off a cliff when you lose that O.
100%. It definitely takes the edge off a bit, and that's what I mean. Is in like a loss. Yes, it feels like the end of the world in that moment. It really does. Your ego certainly takes a hit. You question some of your training methodologies and all that sort of stuff. And but as you sort of digest it and all that sort of stuff, it you realise, yeah, the loss isn't the end of the world. But I mean, you never want to lose a fight. You never want to lose when it comes to competition or anything like that. But when you lose and you and you lose in the fashion that I lost, dropped and subbed in one round, it's like, hey, it doesn't get much better. It doesn't get much worse than that. Sorry. And so yeah, it kind of takes a bit of the edge off. But ultimately, you're going in there. You've you're confident in your prep and all that sort of stuff. And so I think just surrendering the outcome after being completely confident in all your prep, yeah, it
Mhm.
just helps you just keep that sort of that composure.
Yeah, yeah, the composure, and that's a really good word. Like that's what I see in you as far as the way even watching some of your amateur fights, like you're unbelievably composed.
Mm,
And I'll say that, from the people that I've seen do well, moving up, like that's one of the first things that you see in them is like they act like they've been here before.
mm.
And it shows in their performance, and they're able to almost zone out and hear the things that they need to hear and react the way that they need to react. And I definitely see that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think also it's like I've been in the sport a long time, but I've not been able to compete as much as I'd like to.
Mhm.
Just had like plenty of injuries and surgeries and all this sort of stuff, and you know loads of setbacks and stuff along the way. But my head's been very much in the game for well, I'm 30 now, and so I sort of started this all out when I was 14. So you sort of been in it for 16 years, and you know all the well, you recognise some of the things that high level performers do, particularly in martial arts, and you try and incorporate some of it, but you also know that getting riled up and all that sort of stuff is not going to help you at all. You just got to stay calm, stay composed, and you see that at like the highest levels. With guys that just sort of like rush in. Aldo McGregor's a great example. You know,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean. And so you sort of like you can certainly take a lesson from the people that are doing it at the top of the sport to help you be a little bit more composed. But I think sort of having watched the sport an awful lot, you see that, and then it's able to you're able to take it into your own career, even though you've not had many fights, because you see the highest level guys sort of doing it, and you think with that you trust in it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it totally
Yeah.
makes sense. Especially the Aldo McGregor example that you brought up, that still irritates me, as a person who's a purist of the sport, you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Yeah, 100%. You wanted to watch that go a few rounds, didn't you?
yeah, I'm like, I really wish we would have got that back, like, I just like the 13 seconds, it was legit. He landed those shots, but if we ran that fight back, does it go the same way? I don't know about
Well,
that.
that's it. I remember watching it. So I think I was at uni at the time. Yeah, I remember watching it. And we're all like geared up, ready to watch it, sort of thing. It was over in 13 seconds. Like, oh, that was crap. you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. That's one I wish we got back for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
But going back to you, so obviously we talked about it. Your nickname's Head Kick, and you mentioned the Thai boxing, but ooh, like your hip dexterity has to be insane. Like, what do you do to get like? Well, first of all, it reminds me of somebody that's about to fight soon this weekend. Rafael Fiziev.
Mm,
His ability to get the kicks up so fast. And it's like you're
yeah.
always on balance. You throw a kick, you're on balance. If somebody shoots for a takedown, you're on balance. Like, how is this happening? How are you doing
Bro, mate, yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah. I mean, that sort of stuff. I've always been obsessed with. Just I love it when, particularly with like good strikers, like someone like Fiziev or an Adesanya or like a Pereira or someone like that. It's just like their technique's just impeccable, and I like that. It's like because when you're fighting, it's still entertainment. It's an entertainment sport, and it's like look good doing it. Now fighting
Mhm.
isn't perfect, but I've always really appreciated good technique, and so it's just like reps on reps on reps on the bag or pads, or even when it comes to like you take down defense and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, you're just getting all these reps in all the time, and being able to stay nice and balanced during all of it. It's something you can definitely obsess over for sure. I think that's probably where it comes from. And then because you've got all the reps and everything, when it comes to competition, you're not even thinking about it, but your feet are in the right place, everything's all in the right place and right where it needs to be. Um, and then you can blast those head kicks up as much as you like,
Yeah. So like I come from I've watched sports all my life, played sports all my life, and I like to relate a lot of things to basketball. And in basketball, when you're playing, you really try to get to your spots. So if I shoot, really well from this particular spot, I'm going to do everything I can do to get to this spot. And when you translate that to fighting, it's like, okay, I got a good right hand.
Mm,
How am I going to get to this right hand?
100%.
Do you guys look at it the same way when you're trying to figure out how you're going to approach a fight?
Yeah, 100%. Like, you mean like approach a fight or land those shots?
Landing those
Like,
shots.
yeah. So yeah, there'll be certain ways that you can draw them out of people for sure. If I want to land. Well, I'm trying to give too much away. So
Don't give
say I
too
want to
much.
land like
Don't give too
no,
much.
it's right. No. So it's just like yeah. So say you want to land like a left kick, a good counter for the right hand is a left kick underneath it. So you might give people like a little bit of pressure, pull bit of pressure, pull bit of pressure, and just force them to. They might throw like a jab or a hook or a kick, and you counter those whatever. But when that right hand comes, that's the one you're looking for, and you blast that kick straight under it. And so you force people to throw those sorts of things, and you wait for the opportunity for them to hit the shot that you're after. And that might come through one, yes, that's like one example of just giving a little bit of pressure, waiting for them to throw the shot, and then you throw yours underneath. Um, or you're doing it or you're setting them up. You might have spotted a particular reaction that they've had to a particular shot, and you can use that to then set up your favoured shots.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it 100% works the same. Definitely.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured it worked the same, but I ain't in there doing it, so I don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
um. So you mentioned a few fighters there. You mentioned Adesanya, Pereira, Fiziev. I brought him up. Like who? And it's not necessarily that you're patterning yourself after somebody, because I'm pretty sure you want to be the best Harry Shaw that you can be.
Yeah.
But who are people that that kind of like you see things you're like, I like that guy. I like that guy.
Uh, well, when I first started out in the sport, I'd say I loved Anderson Silva because, like, his trickery, his fakes, his setting traps, and all that sort of stuff. Loved all that sort of stuff. Um, GSP again, just didn't use much. Literally jab and a double leg.
That's
And
it.
he won world titles with it. So
Hmm.
again, it just those sorts of people. Yeah, love watching those sorts of people. Um,
Yeah, Anderson
yeah.
Silva is one that I feel like this new generation, the the people who really started watching after Connor, like
Mm.
they don't realize how good that dude was, man.
Nah, mate, you got to go back. You got to go. You got to watch it. You got to watch all that sort of stuff. And again, GSP as well, because he was
Yeah.
sort of. I think he fought Bisping or something when Connor was sort of still in the mix, but before then
Hmm.
he wasn't really doing much. And again, like you got to watch those sorts of people. They're clinical. Love watching those guys. Still watch them now, like
Absolutely.
from doing like a little bit of fight study.
Hmm.
You know especially when it comes to someone that's had like a bit of like a kickboxing Muay Thai background, such as myself. It's like, okay, well, how can I use this kickboxing to pull people into takedowns and all that sort of stuff? And I'll watch GSP for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, proper good guy, and yeah, love those sorts of guys in the sports. People that really think about what they're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm,
And I can definitely see that in your game, the way that you dissect people
mm.
while you're fighting. You can see I can see you thinking. That's what's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, we can hear it
Um,
kicking, eh?
yeah. So in your last fight against Stef Murray, what did you learn from that fight? I mean, it was a decision win. Went all 3 rounds, but what did you learn from that fight?
I think just not to. I mean, there's always there's things that in martial arts. Like, so what one thing being, it's like, don't force things. Yeah, and with Steph, after sort of like halfway through round two, he was very much on the defensive, and with someone that's doing that, it's like they don't want to engage, and you want to try and get them out of there because you feel like they've got nothing coming back for you, right? But I think it's just, again, it's not forcing stuff, because I don't know if you actually see it, but I've tried to start forcing things early on in the in the third round, to
Hmm.
try and pull some bits out of him, and land some better shots. And he caught me with a really quick sort of like left hook that wobbled my feet. I recovered from it pretty quick, but it's that sort of stuff. So it's just like, don't force stuff. And then, so, yes, that's what I'm saying. So it's like halfway through that second round, I was like, okay, I'm not going to put this guy away. Let's just keep doing what I'm doing, because he's not got an answer for it anyway. And if he does
Hmm.
change his tactics, then fine. But again, it sort of solidifies. Just that fight definitely solidified. Don't force things, because if I was
Hmm.
to force stuff a little bit more with Steph, maybe I might have got a bit, I don't know, overexcited and got a takedown, or got taken down or something like that. So,
Yeah,
but
what
yeah,
I noticed too
not
in the
forcing.
fight was like in the first round, obviously he's fresh. He goes for the takedown. He has you up against the fence, almost gets the back. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
you're a striker. Everybody knows you're a striker. They're gonna always try to take you down. That's
Mm.
just what it's gonna be from here on out.
I
But
know. I should have come up with a different nickname, shouldn't I? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know, single leg shore or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, throw
Might
him
work
off a little
well.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
single leg
yeah,
shot would have thrown him off.
yeah.
But you defended it, and after that, it seems like he just got discouraged. He was like, "Man, I can't get him down." And everything after that was just him backing up and
Mm.
just trying to be defensively responsible and not get beat up too bad. But then in the third
Yeah,
round, I did see you step on the gas. Like as soon as is the third round started, you pressure. It was pressure, pressure, pressure. Um,
and that's when
so
I got caught.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You did land a nice elbow too, though, in one of the mix ups. But
Mm.
one thing I was going to ask you about that was the fact that you were able to step on the gas like that. It seems like your cardio is more of a weapon than I thought it was. In the previous fights, do you kind of see your cardio getting better as things go?
What, as the fight sort of progresses?
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I think with Steph, he definitely let me dictate the pace, and so in there, I'm able to take rests when I want. I was able to take rest when I want. I wasn't being forced to overwork, and so I think in there, it's like my cardio looked real good. But I do also have, especially with the certain conditioning stuff, I've got my strength and conditioning coach Jan Masek doing all my S&C for me. And we've come up with some pretty good stuff for the conditioning over the years that has been like real specific for me. And so, yeah, come fight night when my body's all sort of like fully rested and well recovered, yeah, mate, it it, it works like a flipping Ferrari with no miles on it, mate. I tell you, it's class, mate. I love it. Like when your body feels like that when it comes to fight week, or it comes to like fight day. Sorry, yeah, mate. There's no better feeling, because you're going to be able to do everything in there that you're going to need to do in the fight, and whatever it's going to require of you, you're going to have the engine for it. So yes, I'm always confident in my cardio. Um, yeah, definitely. I can step it up when I want and match people's paces. Yeah, for sure.
So speaking of fight day, and obviously the name of the channel is Making the Walk. So I'm
Mm.
always trying to understand how people feel before they actually make the walk. And I saw a previous interview that you talked about some of the nerves. I mean, that's just natural,
Part
obviously,
class.
but
Yeah.
like what goes through your mind before you're actually making that walk, and what do you do to kind of maintain that calmness?
So I think, all right, there's a couple of stages to it. So
Stages of grief.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. So there's a few stages to it. Like the sort of like a day or two prior, you're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What's the point? You know, that sort of stuff. Or you get all of those sorts of things come in. But then when I get to the venue, I get pretty pumped up. I'm like, yeah, no, this is class. Looking forward to compete. Just put the last 8 weeks of hard work into a training camp, and want to put on a masterpiece, you know. And so that excites me. So I get quite excited about competing. As terrifying as competing is, it's such a love hate thing. Yeah, I do. I love it because you get to put on display everything that you're about, you know. And I like doing that. And but at the same time, it is super nerve wracking because you've got someone else that's trying to sort of like just ruin your masterpiece, which is annoying, right? But um, yeah, so you sort of go through those stages. Yeah, you got like those initial sort of like a couple of days before. Why am I doing this sort of thing? Get to the venue, you're like buzzing, good to go, and then when you're sort of like backstage warming up, at that point it's just like for me personally, I've fully surrendered just the outcome of what's going to happen. And it's like there because this at that point it's like I mean you will be telling yourself like what you're doing, run away sort of thing, but at that point your mind's just, I just tell my mind it's like you are doing this, and at that point there's no going back because you could never live with yourself if you were to, or I could never live with myself if I was to just literally like get 5 minutes away from fighting and then just turn around and run because that's what you
Yeah,
want to do, but you always say no, I'm going to do it, and so at that point, like I said, you just surrender the outcome. At that point, that's when that calmness just comes about because you've surrendered everything to it, and you're just
yeah,
like, what will be will be. I have full faith in my skills, my abilities. I'm good. I'm as good as I've ever been. My skills are the best they've ever been. My abilities are the best they've ever been. My cardio is insane. My I've not left a stone unturned in training camp. I've done everything I've needed to, and you surrender that. And mate, if you get beat with all of those things, with all of those boxes ticked, fine. Do you know what I mean? You were beat by someone better on the night for sure. Yeah, but if you don't tick all of those boxes, that's when like a loss will really eat you up. And so with that, it's like because I've got all those boxes ticked, it's just like that's it. Let's get to work and let's put on a masterpiece sort of thing. And you go forward with that,
yeah,
and you just with just like full sort of like faith and courage in yourself that this will happen. This is what I'm doing. Let's go. And you surrender everything to it.
yeah. That's the part right there. That I feel like for a person like myself who learned about the sport way too late, like I really wish I would have known it, when I was younger and would have been more involved in it physically. Like that's the feeling that the fear, but the excitement, like that's like the combination of those things. Those are the things that I wish I would have been able to feel. Like it sounds extremely scary, especially when somebody like Cowboy Cerrone would talk about it. It's just like it's scary, but you still kind of want to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It's a weird one, honestly. Is it just basketball you've sort of done, or have you?
Oh yeah. So I played. I played basketball, track,
Oh,
football. Well, American football, not soccer.
yeah, yeah. I got you.
But yeah. So growing up, around here, you get in fights and stuff like that. But it's just fights. It's sporadic. It's nothing organized or anything like that. So by the time
Mm.
I learned about MMA, like, bruh, I was past it. You know what I'm saying? So it was too late. But I
Yeah,
mean.
but you like still with like the track stuff though, because that's still like. Did you compete in track? Did you?
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's like when you're sort of in the back. Not that I've competed in track, but again, my um, what's it called? My strength and conditioning coach Jan, he competed a lot in track. He was a sprinter, right, and so sort of like understood
Yeah.
all of the processes that you go through backstage, getting yourself in the right mindset, the zone, and everything, and your heart's thumping out of its chest, and then then you got to make that walk to the track, and then you're getting ready for
Yeah.
that thing to go off. I think it's that sort of thing. It's real similar.
Yeah, it is
But yours is
similar.
over in like 10 seconds.
It is over fast.
elbow to the face and blood everywhere.
Yeah.
It might be lasting like another 14 minutes and 59 seconds after that, and I'm like, well,
Yeah, like, and I feel like that's the how quick track is over. I could get hurt because I'm doing something as hard as I can, but
yeah.
I'm not getting punched in the face.
It does make things a little bit more complicated,
It
doesn't it?
changes stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Running
mean,
around and occasionally just getting banged in the left hook or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the other thing is, and I brought this up. I was talking to another fighter, and I said, the thing about it is, you're doing all these things in front of everybody that because everybody's watching.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Your shame's fully on display, you know. But they're all there to support you, And there's nothing like that. If the losses to come about, they're all there still like supporting you and everything. And whilst you might feel all that the shame and everything inside, they're all still there. They all still love you and everything afterwards. And it's all right.
Yeah. So after this fight, after you get this win,
Mm.
um, like, what are your goals for the remainder of the year? I know that, and you spoke about it just a moment ago. Is you had some injuries and things like that, so you weren't able to compete like multiple times these past few years in a year. But like, what are your goals for the remainder of 2025 after this?
I want to be active, So I've got 4 more fights left on this Cage Warriors deal. Ideally, I want them all done by the end of the year. So I've got this one, which would be
Yeah.
number one, number two, sorry, and then I'd like another 3 by the end of the year. I want to be active because I'm better when I'm active. I started my amateur career being like really active, and then I got injured, and I had to like sort of step away from it. Then you had COVID and all that sort of stuff. Um, but yeah, I just want to I want to be active. I've never had like this point where I've been able just to really make a run at things. And I really just want to make a run at it. Yeah, because I'm 30 as well. It's like I'm not getting any younger, and so I really want to
No,
see where
we don't
you
go
know
backwards.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I really want to see where I can get to in a short period of time. Because yeah. So I want to be active. I want to be active.
So, um, first of all, I appreciate you jumping on and making the time and everything. But before we jump off,
Mm.
what do you want people to know, or what do you want them to expect when they tune in on March 21st?
It's going to be an exciting fight for sure. That's definitely going to be a fan-friendly one, I expect. He's a lot more of a striker. I'm a lot more of a striker. I'm not saying wrestling exchanges aren't exciting, but I think to general people, striking is more exciting. And so, yeah, I'm a good striker. He's a good striker. So I certainly think it's a fan-friendly fight. That's for sure. He comes to bring it. I come to bring it. And so you're going to have 2 guys in there that want that win. And I expect it's primarily going to be a striking affair. So, yeah, fan friendly fight. Tune in.
Absolutely. I will definitely be tuning in. And
Yeah.
for anybody that's watching, make sure that you like and subscribe and jump onto Harry's socials, man.
Mm.
He's got a good following on there, and you should be a part of it. So, again, I appreciate you jumping on here, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jax, mate. Cheers.